Call to order the 11 August 22 Avon Town Council meeting. Please rise and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Julie, would you mind taking a roll call, please?
Greg Zuzan.
Present.
Robert Pope.
Present.
Aaron Tivabal. Steve Eisenbarth.
Present.
And Don Loudon.
Present by Zoom.
Thank you. We have a quorum in-house as well. So next item on the agenda, consent agenda. This includes the check register from July 28th and the check register from August 11th, as well as approval of meeting minutes. Any discussion?
I don't have any comments. Greg, you got anything? No.
Entertain a motion.
I make a motion, we accept it as presented. Second.
First and second, Julie, roll call, please.
Robert Pope.
4.
Greg Zuzan.
4.
Steve Eisenbarth.
4.
Dan, do I count her? Yep. Don Loudon.
4.
I just had to make sure.
Next item on the agenda is public comment. The first of 2 public comment opportunities. You may comment on items on the agenda that are not a public hearing or on a specific matter within the council's jurisdiction. Please come forward to the microphone, state your name and address, and limit your time to 3 minutes. Seeing no one come forward, we'll close that section of public comment. We'll move on to department updates. Mr. Peoples.
Break the log jam here. Yeah. Planning, things are starting to slow down a little bit, which is good. Plan commission agenda for August really has 3 items on it for any sort of hearing. The Avon Retail Center, the Cityscape Avon project in Glen Rock Springs. I would anticipate that the Avon Retail Center, though, is going to drop off. I would say probably the petitioner is going to ask for a continuance on that. Avon Retail Center is the Rural King Shopping Center. There's a undeveloped portion of that shopping center to the east of it, and they're talking about acquiring more property. So I would anticipate that one falls off. So it probably have 2 items on the agenda for a full hearing. And depending on how those items go, we'll probably try to do plan commission training on the August meeting rather than hold a special meeting. Currently, there's 3 items on the agenda for the plan commission in September. A zoning amendment for a hotel rezoning, and 2 development plan review petitions, one for a Chick-fil-A in the Rural King Shopping Center. And then the Hendricks County Parks and Recreation Department wants to put a maintenance facility in the park in the southwestern part of the town. Board of Zoning Appeals, Ian only has had 1 pre-consultant meeting, a pre-consultation meeting for the September meeting, and he doesn't anticipate that person is going to file. They haven't scheduled an appointment, and the BZA has nothing for this month. From a code enforcement standpoint, Daniel's been pretty busy, but Daniel has also been tasked with a lot of GIS projects. So his time is basically being switched, for predominantly GIS or predominantly code enforcement to GIS, probably 50-50 GIS. Now he's probably doing spending half of his time doing GIS work and the other half doing code enforcement. Other than that, I have nothing further, and I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have.
Jared, zooming up there.
I'm running before Mike comes up here. Jared Wade, Communications Director for the Town of Avon. Just a few quick things. First, after a long back and forth and development process, C-Click Fix, which we're going to be calling Avon, Indiana Action Center, is going to be launched on August 22nd. So not next Monday, but the Monday after that. that is when it's going to be available to the public. Right now, all of the staff have access to kind of go in there and check it out from the inner workings, see how it all plays out. Again, this is a system that residents, community is going to be able to use on their mobile devices through the website, avongov.org, or through a custom mobile app for Android or iOS. They download the app. When they see something that's going on in the community, if they see a sign that's broken or a tree falling down over the trails, anything of that nature, they can just pull out their phone, take a quick picture, put in the map, specify exactly where it is at, and then it will get sent to the right department, the right person. The really great thing is, and this kind of ties in with what Bill was talking about, it integrates heavily with the GIS system. So it's going to base it off of the address and the actual geolocation. So those things that are not within the town of Avon boundaries are going to get redirected. So that way it saves us time and money and energy in-house. It's going to be directing it before it ever reaches us. So if it actually needs to end up in Washington Township, it's going to be redirecting that direction, or Hendricks County, or somewhere else. So I appreciate Daniel's help. He's done a fantastic job helping build those GIS maps, which again, in turn, is going to save us a lot of man hours in the long run. Second, we're making updates on the website almost daily now. A new update that we just put on there was the Avon, Indiana Community Resource page. This is a page that is going to be always evolving and always growing. It's going to have a listing of all of the different community resources here in Avon. So this goes from anywhere between mental health to family health, family resources, children, teens, whatever it might be. If you have a nonprofit organization and your desire and your want is to help the community, help the men, help the women, help every single person that is in the community, reach out. There's a simple form that is on that page where they can go to. It is avongov.org/community resource or community resources. I should have looked at that before I walked up here, but I was too eager to beat Mike, so I apologize. But it's very easy to find community resources. Just look it up. You can look through the search bar. Lastly, I want to give a big thank you to Brian Nugent for National Night Out. I know probably Sean is going to talk about that here in a little bit as well, and I'm stealing his thunder. But National Night Out was a great success. Brian reached out to me, and there was actually something on our old website called the Community Camera Program that they were working on. We were able to get all of that old data and that old information, and we're going to integrate it into the new website as well. And this is going to be something that the police are going to be able to use. Nobody's hacking into cameras. Nobody's looking and getting access to cameras. This is a voluntary community program where the citizens can submit their addresses and say, hey, we've got some cameras that we use here at home. If the police need assistance, here's our contact information. So again, the police, the government, nobody has any access to the camera system. This is all purely voluntary from the residents. We're excited to get that rebuilt on the new platform, and we're going to be sharing information about that coming soon. A lot of other things going on, but those are kind of the three big ones. Happy to answer any questions that you might have. Cool.
Now I think it's all yours, Mike.
Hi, Mike Tully, Town of Avon, Planning and Building Director. And Jared, that's the only time I'm ever going to let you beat me. So, having said that, I'll keep it brief. You have a copy of my July 2022 monthly report. We're staying steady busy. We're up to almost 11,000 inspections for the year. Doesn't look like it's going to slow down anytime soon. So we're, I guess, some big highlights. We're pretty busy at Harvest Landing with all the development with Raising Cane's and Swenson's and Harvest Landing Lot 7, which is that multi-tenant building. We've issued actually permits now for landlord work on that building, which is fairly simple. But then we've got 3 tenant finishes that are going in there also that are under separate permits. The new warehouse building started at Avon Landing Industrial, and we have daily inspections there. And they came in and picked up a permit for the new building on 100 South. So that'll be our 5th big box we'll have going at one time. So other than that, you have all the info in front of you. If you've got any questions, I'd be happy to assist you with anything.
As I said earlier, Mike, thank you for writing that information that I had requested a couple months ago.
Not a
Appreciate
problem,
it.
sir.
Oh, and Mike, I like the items of note. All the detail on that is always helpful. Anytime there's updates on that, just kind of draw attention to us on that. But that looks good. And yeah, the occupancy rate, it doesn't look like we have too many vacancies going on.
No. I was actually a little bit shocked by that. I mean, the way the housing market's been, you would have thought that the occupancy rates would have declined, but they clearly haven't done that. So that was good to see.
No, it's good. And thanks for keeping up all the permitting. That's great.
Not a problem. Thank you.
I guess I have one other question. When you look at the vacant lot inventory,
Yes.
and you add those two numbers together, we only have 304 vacant lots for single-family residents available.
Right, because we still have some neighborhoods out there that have been approved, but we don't have recorded plats yet, so we're not ready to issue permits. So that list actually will not get updated until we have the recorded plats in-house. And then we'll add those to the inventory.
So based on that number, that's a concerning number. We should have more than that.
That's
not
correct.
Less than that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Not seeing anything from Don either. Thank you. Thank you, Mike.
All right, thank you.
Hello, I'm Shelby Marshall. I'm the new Parks Director. So I would like to first thank you for the opportunity for this position. This is day 4 for me. I've been spending the week familiarizing myself with events, meeting with staff, going over my budget, having a lot of conversations with the town manager. I've also met with the Parks and Trails of Hendricks County and that group, and I've had a meeting with the Parks Foundation of Hendricks County as well, just familiarizing myself and getting up to date with all of the current stuff going on. That's my update for you as of right now, and I will be happy to entertain any questions.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Taylor.
A couple of guys back there too lazy to get up. John Taylor, Economic Development. I'm going to bring you up to date on projects that are underway or getting ready to get underway and what their investments are. Avon Landing Apartments, it's $57.5 million. Avon Landing Industrial, they're going to build 2 buildings, 400 and 300,000 square feet. Investments $46,900,000. Chicago Industrial, that's on 100 South. Their first building was 880,000 square feet. Their next building is 1,009,000 square feet, and the third building is 500,000 square feet. 3 buildings totals approximately $160 million with 2.3 million square feet. Reagan Logistics, that's Distribution Realty Group, DRG. Their first 2 buildings, 791,000 and 300,000 square feet. You can see them as you drive up Reagan from the south on the left-hand side. And they've recently committed to build an additional 250,000 square foot building. So total square footage will be 1,341,000 with a approximate cost of $89,847,000. Rise Development, which will be directly across Reagan. That's not sure exactly how many buildings, somewhere around 10, 20, I'm not sure. But it's 142,000 square feet. These will be used as incubators for businesses coming out of garages and houses and everything else to allow them to grow and then move into some of our newer industrial buildings. The investment there is $9,514,000. Cityscape, which is looking to go directly across the street on Reagan. That's 15 acres. These 15 acres has some water that runs through it, and it's difficult to mitigate that water for, in my opinion, mitigate that water for industrial. So for this to be multifamily, I think fits really well there. That investment's $48,640,000. So what you're going to see up and down Reagan and on 100 South right now is about 700 apartments, 4.5 million square feet of industrial, and $412 million of investment. And this is, in my opinion, the start. I'm thinking in a couple of years, we'll more than double that. So that's kind of what we've been up to. Thank you very much.
Thanks, John.
One of you guys get up.
Guess we're saving the best for last. I'll go first. Steve, we're Public Works Director. Big news from yesterday. We had our bids for the CCMG, and we were really concerned about getting bidders since the environment we have right now with contractors, they didn't want to bid anything that had to be done this year. So we adjusted our project schedule so they don't have to start until next year. Got 7 bidders, and they were good bids. Our estimate was 1.9 million, and our low bidder was 1.84 million. So we saved some money there. Pretty happy about that. And it's with Reith Riley, who's doing the 100 South project. So again, it's a contractor who's familiar with us, and I think that's reflected with this bid that they like working here. So happy about that one. Had 2 other bids. One for preservative seal for reclamite throughout the town. It's 180,000, a little over our construction estimate by 7%. Still a good bid. And then our crack seal, we had an old company that's a new company come back to us. So it used to be Reseal Coating. He sold the company to another company. And HSC Pavement Maintenance, they were their low bidder, 5% below our engineer's estimate at $65,141. So pretty good bid experience here lately. Project-wise, Edica's moving forward with more of the County Road 100 North Raceway Road roundabout design. Next council meeting, I'll be bringing their final design contract for you guys to approve. They're working ahead, even though they're finished up with your other contract, just so that we don't lose our pace, because we want to make sure we stay ahead for right-of-way and utility relocation work. See what else we got here. Oakle is our trail contractor. They took a couple weeks off, and we heard about it from some of the residents that there was a lull in some of the construction. They're back now, back on 200 North, working on that, making good progress. We're working on the north side of 200, just east of Dan Jones right now. They have 2 other locations they're working at on 625 and on Dan Jones further to the south. Doing a lot of tree trimming right now. South reconstruction. They're actually, it's looking pretty good. They're getting ready to start paving. Probably, we say in about a week, I think. It's like about a week they're going to start paving. They got some trails to pave. They got some concrete they got to get in. They're working on Ronald Reagan, those improvements too right now. Then they're going to go on the east side of Ronald Reagan and work on 100 South, the eastbound side of the road. So they're making progress there. Dan Jones widening, we're still working on a November bid for that. What else we got? MS4, Drew's still out there doing a good job with inspections, and we just got another person certified. Betsy got her MS4 inspector certification done, so good for her. More tools. We got more people to go out there and watch. We got a lot of work going on. Roadside mowing and trash pickup is continuing. Pothole patching, we're out of the big season, but we still get them. So we're still out there patching every day. Traffic sign replacement is ongoing. We just got our gas-powered post driver. We're pretty excited about that. If you remember the video of Keaton with his sledgehammer, the post driver might be a better one for us. I think that's pretty much it. Any questions?
Question I have is what's the status? I know it's not your project, but it's 36 Rockville Road and NDOT and their road improvements. Any update on that?
Ryan, did you just do the online meeting with them?
Yeah, they're behind. There's not a lot of an update at this point, but they're trying to figure out ways to accelerate construction. So in the next couple of weeks, we'll probably give you guys some more updated information, but they still had some utility delays that have still prevented them, and they've got a lot of other inefficiencies on the project. They've had to jump around in between phases, which has caused issues in the construction schedule. So NDOT's working through it and has expressed some unhappiness about the current schedule. So we'll see if they're able to work through some of that and get us better information. And so in the next 30 days or so, we'll know more.
A side note to that is the utility coordinator for that project is also from Etica, and Etica designed our CCMG project, and we were able to save a little over $50,000 in paving because we found out how far they were planning to come back on the approach to Ronald Reagan. So we were able to stop our project to mesh into theirs instead of us building ours and them having that benefit. So that worked out for us there. I think that's it. Oh, the next CCMG we're going to apply for. We were talking about Galen Drive and 900, right? So reconstructing Galen Drive because we've been repairing that for years, and it's time to just rehab it. And then 900, of course, once we use or finish our road safety audit, we'll have a better idea of what we want to do there, and we can apply for some funds to help accomplish some of those goals.
Both Galen Drive and then I don't remember the name of the crossroad right there where the car wash is.
That's also Galen.
With all those cars coming in and out, it's eating up the road and you're patching it, but.
Yeah, we're out there all the time. So yeah, that whole L shaped is all Galen, and Galen Drive east and west of our north and west. Anyway, but yeah, they're both Galen, and we're planning on reconstructing that whole thing.
When's the next submission for community crossings?
It's due in like 14 days or something like that. Yeah, yes, it's pretty.
We'll be ready to submit.
We're doing it.
Perfect. Thank you.
Oh, Steve, so 100 South, it does look like we've got, because of the utilities now finally getting out of there, we're moving along there on that east leg. It looks like it's going much better there.
Yeah,
I
well,
know it's challenging, but.
yeah, we had a lot of ancillary work going around us, and so I think they're out of each other's way, and we're making some pretty good progress. So yeah, I think we're doing okay.
Are they making any sounds they may be on time or?
Yeah, they're not gonna be on time.
Okay.
I mean, I could lie to you if you want, but
No,
but no, we're not gonna be on time.
Just trying to be optimistic. Maybe
Yeah.
they could.
Yeah, we're looking at November. So.
All right. Thanks.
Thanks, Steve.
Thank you.
Chief Stoops.
Good evening, Sean Stoops, Chief of Police. First of all, I'd like to congratulate Officer Kasperzik and Officer Sawyer. They're going to be graduating from the Indiana Law Enforcement Academy next Friday. And once they come back, they'll resume their field training program and then hopefully be released on their own just a few weeks after that, hopefully. So congratulate them and look forward to seeing them at their graduation next week. Our Indiana Crime Guns Task Force, we are now into well over 200 illegal firearms that have been seized from bad guys for the year. Of those guns, they've resulted in about over 220 state arrests and over 40 federal arrests to date for the year. So we want to really commend those detectives and officers that are on that task force. It's not only helping the Marion County area, but as well as the surrounding counties as well. And we don't know exactly what crimes we're preventing by taking those guns off the streets because you don't know what you don't know. when you take those guns off the streets. But we certainly know it's having a positive impact in reducing some of the shootings and other violent crimes that might have been associated with those guns had they not been taken off the street. So we really want to commend them and thank them for their efforts. We're still conducting background investigations on our remaining police officer candidates in hopes of filling our remaining 4 vacancies. I think we're down to about 12 candidates on this current hiring list. So we're keeping our fingers crossed as our investigators make their way through those background investigations. Earlier, Jared alluded to a little thing you might have heard about, National Night Out Against Crime. That was last week. It was a huge success, probably one of our best events to date. So far, our best estimation is over 5,000 people in attendance. We want to thank all of our supporters, donors, and especially our volunteers, because without all 3 of them, we could not even come close to making that thing happen. We want to give some special thanks out to some of our main sponsors like Lowe's Home Improvement Center. They provided the location. If you didn't notice, it does kind of hamper their business operations for the day. And we apologize to the people that came there and interfered with their purchase of their home improvement products. But we also want to thank Lowe's for understanding that what we're doing is much bigger than selling some 2x4s and stuff like that for the afternoon. So we really want to thank them. Our solicitor chief, as I call him, Gary Ackman and Bev Ackman, they do a wonderful job of going out the past couple years and soliciting some of our businesses and people in our community to help donate prizes for the event, which substantially increases all of the prize packages that we're able to offer at little or no cost. So we want to thank them as well. And then we also want to thank all of you. Just about each and every one of you were out there in some capacity, helping with the National Night Out, as well as the Parks Department and the building, planning, Public Works. Everybody was out there. It really has truly become a community event, not just a police event. And it really shows just how much the community comes together and not only supports the police department, but the town as a whole. So we really want to thank everyone for coming out and helping and attending and making it such a successful event. And also, I'll just piggyback on what Jared said. I really want to thank Brian for all of his hard work that he puts into that every year, logistically and the planning and everything that goes into that. That also is one of the key factors that make that event go off and become so successful. So be happy to answer any questions you might have.
I just want to say the same thing. I mean, Brian and your team, your officers, your sponsors, even the retailers in our community, you're getting more and more giveaways from them. You know, they're really getting on board and they really see the importance of this. And so every year the bar continues to go higher and higher, and let everybody know I certainly appreciate what they've done, as well as the other council members, and can't wait for next year. If you want, I'll go in the dunk tank.
Well, that is on record.
Hey, I got that. Yeah.
Do we need a motion?
If we could,
I'll second.
if we could get that in a resolution and signed this evening, that'd be great. All right. Any other questions?
No, excellent. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Sean.
Thank
Very
you.
good.
That, Jared, I didn't forget you. You got it. Good. We're good there. Next item on the agenda, council comment and liaison reports. Dawn, I usually start with you because you're sitting over here and you're kind of the odd one out. I'm going to start with you this evening.
Well, coming off of COVID, I'm trying to remember back 3 weeks ago. So I know I've attended the chamber luncheon, and we did a neighborhood meeting with out at Oxford Park. We've done a few other things, but I can't remember them all since they were several weeks ago now.
Thanks, Dawn. Mr. Zuzan.
Oh, chamber luncheon, collaboration meeting, national night out. Those are just a few things.
Steve?
No
Mr.
pressure to
Eisenbarth.
go short here now. National Night Out was great. I want to know, how many hot dogs did you toss here, Mr. President?
Was it 1,800?
1,800?
1,800. Now, to be fair, I had some help this year, so I didn't warm up all 1,800. I had some great help. Thank you to Dave, and even Don Hodson was there to help turn some hot dogs. So
I thought you meant you ate 1,800.
I'll tell you what,
Oh,
I wanted to. They looked delicious.
You were doing great. He was there, he had a system where he was moving those things along, and
I don't know if you saw that line. I kind of had to.
yeah, you did great. So National Night Out was a big thing. And Jared, thank you for the booth to help get our code out about informing people on signing up for emergency events or road closures by just scanning their phone. So that was very good. That was a super way to work with it. Other than that, I guess the Plan Commission, everything's been covered. And then Steve covered about the roadway. So that's all I have.
So I've got a few. We missed the last meeting. The fantastic National Night Out. Well done, Chief Nugent and everyone who helped. Especially thank you to all the vendors and organizations who donated their time and treasure. I had the pleasure of celebrating the latest Citizens Police Academy graduated class last week. Well done to everybody who participated, as well as APD for hosting it. Appreciate the work Ryan, Steve, and Drew did to help put in signs to point to our community's library. And I was happy to attend that reveal, which seemed to bring a pretty big smile to Laurel's face. We had the July Planning Commission meeting. We had a few items that were continued to future meetings, and the commission discussed plans for additional training in the future. And we should be seeing one of those items from that meeting on the agenda tonight. The collaboration group met earlier today. Kind of a real, I think, an important one to share. The township is looking at adding 250 cemetery plots, a worker transportation van service, and potentially purchasing land for the next 2 fire stations soon. I want to shout out, thank you to John, Ryan, Duke Energy, Brian from HCDP, and many of our community leaders to welcome the site selector group to help bring in tenants for the 100 South project. This is a great economic development incoming. Two more things. I appointed Carrie Mize to the Open Police Merit Board Commission. I believe I spoke to you guys each individually, but I just wanted to throw this out there. And last, wonderful welcome to our new Parks Director, Shelby Marshall. So welcome aboard. Next item on the agenda, new business, public hearing for consolidation. Do we need to discuss this first, or do I go straight into opening the public hearing?
No, I'd like to go straight into discussing holding the public hearing, and then you guys would actually talk about it towards your resolution. And it was advertised in the Republican, so.
Okay. Any questions? Okay. At this time at 7:33, we will open the public hearing on the topic of unification reorganization. We didn't have a sign up. No, we don't do that, council. Apologies. Do we have anyone who would like to speak for the public hearing? Yes. Please come up to the mic, state your name and address, and limit your time to 3 minutes, please.
My name is Stan Allball. I live at 2123 Wood Creek Drive, Avon, Indiana. However, not really Avon, Indiana. As most of you know, I initiated a petition to try and unify Washington Township in the town of Avon. And with a group of volunteers, we collected 1,350 signatures. I recognize that, yes, all of those were not certified. I think we had about 1,070 that were certified. What you don't know is the number of people that we talked to and our engagement, and our declination rate was well under 10%. Most of the people that we talked to expressed some issues and concerns around any number of things associated with services or different things that they might say, well, we had an accident here when we called. They told us to call back and so that they could route the call out to Hendricks County, or things to that effect that they don't understand, or they complain about some of the association services. But as it turns out, as I was talking to those people, I've been explaining to them that the real problem is that they don't live in Avon, Indiana. They live in Washington Township, the incorporated area. I also want to tell the board that I really appreciate and support the efforts of the Avon Town Council and the Washington Township Board in their efforts to build a wall to help protect our tax base from the other municipalities around us so that they'll stop annexing. However, we all need to recognize how slow and arduous that process actually is. And that is the reason under the Government Modernization Act, we chose to go out and collect those signatures. I would certainly implore you and for you to please pass that petition and to implement the actions in the statute so that it can eventually move forward to a public referendum vote. Doing that will in fact provide better services to the Avon community, better identification for those of us that are in or out of Avon, put us all into one. And in my mind, more importantly, by putting this all together, give us all a voice and a vote for actually what happens in our town. One of the other side benefits besides the increase in services is how much it will also protect our tax base from those other municipalities that are continuing to annex even as we speak. If we sit back and do nothing, it's gradually going to be a death by 1,000 cuts. And so we need to do something to stop it, protect it. And in my mind, the best thing is to get our arms around this problem and to unite the community so that we can all be one in
Thank you. Anyone else that would like to speak during the public hearing?
Hi, Jay Thompson, Ward 1 representative from the Pittsburgh Town Council and also a small town rep on the Communication Advisory Board. I just read about this in the Republican and I was curious to see what kind of tax advantages it might have if we wanted to look into something like this in Middle Township. So I was not aware that there was a way to do a combination, or I'm not familiar with the process, and I was curious to see how you felt this could benefit Avon. Tuesday, we're looking at $100,000 increase in health insurance for the town. We've lost $48,000 in funding for a police officer from Steel Dynamics that they've been providing for 4 years. So we've got a big hit in the town budget coming up for 2023, and we're looking for any way that we can make sure we can continue our level of service to the taxpayers and not take a big hit.
Understood. Thank you. Anyone else? Not seeing anyone else come forward, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing at 7:38. Next item on the agenda, CSX Construction Agreement, White Lick Bank Stabilization. Ryan, is this you or Steve?
I'll go ahead and handle it. As you guys are aware, we've partnered with the Army Corps on their Emergency Stream Bank Stabilization Program to stabilize the bank along White Lake Creek in the area of County Road 625. The concern is that if we don't do anything, that the road will eventually end up in the White Lake Creek. And so the Army Corps is prepared to move forward with the construction, and we've already given our share of the project. We're still trying to get our CSX permits. And so out of that permit, CSX is going to require this, which is pretty typical. If you guys remember when we did the Avon Avenue Bridge, we had to execute a similar agreement that they need to be on site to inspect when we're working within their right of way. And so they also, anytime you're working within their right of way, they want a flagger out there to make sure that there's no threat to their trains. And so the cost to that is built into this agreement. I will share that the Army Corps, we've already paid our share to the Army Corps. So this cost actually won't be paid by us. It will actually be paid out of the project costs. So it will only be part of what we've already paid basically to the Army Corps. So we won't need to send them a check after you guys approve this or anything like that. So it will just end up just being a project cost. Staff does recommend approval, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
So is the number you're talking about the $73,521?
That's correct, yes.
CSX protocol.
Yes, this is typical CSX protocol. In order to work within their right of way, we basically have to do this. We don't have a choice. So it just ends up kind of being a project cost.
Well, the exhibits pretty much spell it out everywhere. Insurance requirements, you name it. So it's something that has to be done. You know, that's really what it comes down to. Stabilizing the bank is just one of those things that we always have to keep up on. And so I don't see anything out of the unusual in this, so.
Yeah, roads are very expensive. I don't want it to fall into White Click Creek. I don't like situations. Those are hard words to swallow. We can't do anything about it. That's the hard part here. But I don't want my road falling into White Click Creek. They're very expensive. If there isn't any further questions, entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion. Trying to find the beginning of this, but that we accept the construction agreement as presented. I'll say that. Is there anything else? So we don't need to authorize? Okay.
I'll second that with, in adding not to exceed $73,521.
Yep. So amended. Agreed.
Got an amended first.
Second.
And second. Julie, would you take roll call, please?
Don Loudon,
4.
Greg Zuzen,
4.
Robert Pope,
4.
Steve Eisenbarth.
4.
Next item on the agenda, additional full-time groundskeeper position. You or Shelby? Can we throw her in the fire some more?
I'll introduce, and if Shelby wants to jump in, she's welcome to, but I kind of started this process, so I told her I'd at least see it through, and if you guys want her thoughts, she's prepared to share them. But we do have a part-time position currently, and that employee has expressed an interest in a full-time position. A lot of our part-time positions are part-time because we've struggled to find full-time people. So anytime we have the opportunity to basically add full-time positions, we really think it's to our benefit. This employee's worked for us for about 8 months now. So they've shown good work ethic and to have good character and to be the kind of employee that we'd like to have. So again, we're always looking for full-time parks employees. So when we have the opportunity to hire one, he's asked to become full-time. We've looked at the budget. I provided you a cost in comparison of what the part-time position is. We've obviously had some vacancies in the Parks Department, and so there's plenty of money in the Parks budget for this year. It would be an impact to the Parks budget next year, obviously, because we'll have to reflect that full-time position. But again, I believe we're able to sustain that and continue forward. So it is our recommendation to authorize an additional groundskeeper position in the Parks Department.
Any questions for staff?
Is this job description a current job description?
Yes.
And you answered my questions on funding and 2023 budget, so I have no other questions.
I have no questions either. The description's good, goes in a lot of detail, and no questions.
If no further questions, entertain a motion.
I make a motion that we approve the request for an additional full-time groundskeeper as presented.
Question for Dan, do we need to include that that's that impacts our salary ordinance? Does that need to be mentioned?
You'll have to do that. That's a different procedure.
Roger. Okay.
They'll bring an amended salary ordinance to you. It's a different, they require introduction and a.
I'm injecting useless info. Roger, thank you. We have a first.
Second.
We have a first and a second. Julie, would you take roll call, please?
Robert Pope,
4.
Steve Eisenbarth,
4.
Greg Zuzen,
4.
Don Loudon.
4.
Excellent. Next item on the agenda, awarding bids for crack sealing, preservation seal, and paving. I assume Steve's speaking to this one.
Steve, Works Director. Yes, we had actually, we have support from the sites on there too.
It is, yes.
So for the crack seal bids, we only got 2 bidders. Contacted 8 different companies, and we got 2 bidders. There we go. I just wanted to come up here. Anyway, so we only got 2 bids. One was for $107,766. One was for $65,141. The engineer's estimate was $108,743. So they both beat the engineer's estimate. It was the estimate, and I'm guessing the high bidder were both pretty much based on a square yard price. The other contractor looked out at each of the roads and determined what kind of work needed to be done. There were some roads that were just paved last year that were in the project. They're only in the project because we like to do the entire subdivisions at a time. So even though minimal work would be done on that road, that square yardage was included. So this guy that actually has a successful bid, he didn't miss anything. He actually had he actually took the time to go out there and look at the project. So I feel very confident with that company. Again, that is a company that's a second generation of a company that we had done a lot of work with here in Avon. And I recommend that we accept the bid of HSC Pavement Maintenance in the amount of $65,141.31.
I'd suggest we move through these one at a time. So we'll focus on the HSC, the crack seal bid at the moment. Do we have any further questions for Steve? If not, entertain a motion.
Alternate one, what is it in a nutshell?
So routing out some cracks. So when we get to the cracks, sometimes we need to route them out. And so that's a undistributed quantity of routing.
All right, thank you.
I make a motion to accept staff's recommendation to approve HSC's bid in the amount of $75,141.32 as presented.
I'll second.
We have a first and a second. Julie, would you take roll call, please?
Robert Pope,
4.
Don Loudon,
4.
Greg Zuzen,
4.
Steve Eisenbarth,
4.
Move on to, I think, preservative seal.
Preservative seal is a lot easier. We only had 1 bidder, as we normally only have 1 bidder. This product is almost proprietary, I would say. He doesn't have a lot of competition. We do it every year. We've seen a lot of benefit from this product. My estimate was 7% lower than the actual cost. I didn't realize he was bumping his price. But it's still an acceptable range. I recommend that we take accept the bid of Rejuve Tech in the amount of $180,440.80.
The only question I have, you didn't identify what subdivisions are going to be going in with this proposal?
I've got a list, but not off the top of my head and not in front of me. Same thing with the crack seal.
If I recall, it's been a while, but if I recall, you've shared that with us. If it wasn't in a council meeting, it was in a work session, I believe earlier this year.
We've talked about it. I just don't have
Sure.
have it with me, but yeah.
I make a motion, we approve staff's recommendation in approving Rejuve Tech's bid in the amount of $180,440.80.
Yeah, I'll second. Just had a comment though. So the engineer's estimate, Steve, it's probably just that the inflation costs, materials and supplies, that's probably what it came down to.
I was
right?
just guessing at what it was going to be versus what it was last year, and his fuel costs were probably higher than what I anticipated.
Everything's going crackers this year, so I do understand that. So, no, that's only just a comment, but I do second it. That's fine.
Any further discussion? All right, Julie, we have a first and a second. Would you take a roll call vote, please?
Steve Eisenbarth,
4.
Greg Zuzen,
4.
Don Loudon,
4.
Robert Pope,
4. Next one, sidewalk and curb.
The sidewalk and curb, we have an annual project where we go through and we have 2 different ones. One we've already gotten approval for, and that's where we grind for ADA compliance. The other one is for when we actually remove and replace panels. And I don't have that one in front of me, but we only got one bidder, and you have that in front of you, I
Yeah,
guess.
it's ACI Asphalt, and the bid was $12,329.
Do we know anything about ACI asphalt?
Keaton actually got a reference for them from, I think, Plainfield. We have not used them here.
My suspicion is the owner had one bidder because of the dollar amount of the project.
Right, it's low dollar amount.
Small, yeah.
Yeah. We tried to get some other local companies, and they didn't even bid. They're just so busy.
You know, to keep that cost in perspective, do you have it converted out of how many areas served or anything like that? You know, just it kind of helps. I know it's a small bid, but I was just curious.
It's spread out actually, and that's one of the things is there's not a lot of production they're going to get to do. They're doing they're in Oriole Point. They're going to do a curb that's sagging. They're going to go up to Harvest Ridge and they're going to do a sidewalk section. I mean, there's no production that they're going to do here. It's all very piecemeal.
They're going to have to be efficient for that price.
Yeah.
But, okay. No, that's all. I'll make a motion if it's all right. We're all set. Make a motion that we accept as staff has presented to ACI Asphalt.
You want to include that bid amount just for
For
record?
I got to get to the right page here.
12,329.
12,329.
We have a first
I have a second.
and a second. Julie, would you take roll call vote, please?
Steve Eisenbarth,
4.
Greg Zuzen,
4.
Robert Pope,
4.
Don Loudon.
4.
Thanks, Steve.
Okay, is that everything?
The only question I have for you, Steve, is Ryan sent an email last evening, I think, about your community crossing, Reese Riley paving.
Yeah.
Do we need to take action on that tonight? Do we need to amend the agenda?
Yeah.
No, it's on here.
Oh, it's on the agenda.
Sidewalk replace and paving is on there. So yeah, you need to do paving too.
You want to do it right now?
Paving is yeah, it's right now.
Okay, let's do it.
Please, yeah.
All right, so again, with the CCMG, we did have the bids. We have a bid from Reese Riley for $1,840,000 even. Engineer's estimate, and this was not my estimate, this was from Etica, was for $1,915,801. So they beat that. We feel like we have a real good price there. It's a reputable company. I recommend that we accept Reese Riley's bid.
I think the other thing to point out is this is where we got the community crossing grant of $1 million or 907.
Close to $1 million, yes.
Help pay for this.
Well, and yeah, so half of this money is going to come from the state of Indiana through MnDOT. And we're in a tight schedule, so we need to get this approved actually tonight in order to get it under contract to meet our schedule with MnDOT so we don't lose that almost $1 million.
That was the 31 August deadline. Roger. Okay.
Actually, it's a little earlier. It's like August 19th or something like that. So
Oh, boy.
Steve's got to turn around and we just got to get a PO. So we got to submit it to them that we awarded the bid and who it's for. And then NDOT will send us the money. And then once we get the money, then we move forward and build it. So.
No, let's go ahead.
Make a motion that we accept the 2022 CCMG paving bid of Reese Riley in the amount of $1,840,000 as presented by staff.
I'll second.
We have a first and a second. Julie, would you take a roll call vote, please?
Greg Zuzen,
4.
Steve Eisenbarth,
4.
Robert Pope,
4.
Don Loudon.
4.
There you go. Thank you, Steve.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda, IT managed services. That one, you, Ryan.
Yeah, I'll take it and Jared may jump in if you guys have some questions, but we've been using Proactive for a while. Currently, the way they bill us is basically anytime there's an issue, they basically charge us at an hourly rate. And it has seemed difficult, or it is actually very challenging to manage that and kind of figure out how to do it. So Jared and I had a conversation with them about kind of going to budget billing where we'd kind of have a flat rate. And then that would cover all the services the staff has when they call. And so they did come out with that. It's pretty typical. I know you guys noticed probably from the check registers, they can range. Some months it's 2,000, other months it's 5,000. And so basically they went back and looked over a 12-month period and basically said we're averaging around $2,600. And that's basically what the agreement is to move forward. And it would be at $2,600 a month and that we would review it annually, and if it needs to adjust, then it may adjust. But again, from our perspective, it makes it much easier for us to be able to budget, for us to understand and to manage on our end. They actually prefer it on their end as well. It requires less management from them in terms of keeping track of what they're doing and when they're doing it and who they're doing it for. So I think we've been really happy with Proactive, and this is a good way for us to keep moving forward with our relationship.
Go ahead, Steve.
Well, you've got a cost history here and you have a track record with it, so I don't have any questions on it. Go ahead.
I feel like they've done great work, bit of a professional service, back to what we talked about in the work session, the trust and relationship. I've got a question on the unlimited remote support. This is for my fellow council members. Does it include IT support for council members for our technical devices?
Yes, it does.
Great. Excellent. I would implore us all to use that more frequently. This would give us this cost-effective way to use that more frequently. That was all I had.
I do have a question on that one, if someone could answer it. The way that we're currently doing it, when a department calls in and they need the work done for them, is it departmentalized against their budget? And now the new one, if it's just a flat rate each month, how will that be tracked?
Good question, Dawn. It's actually the way it's budgeted now, it's 100% in my budget. And so we don't break it out by departments. The police department also uses Proactive, but the police department has a budget for their services, and then all the town basically comes out of my budget. So it wouldn't be broken up in the staff or in between the different departments at the town. And so I think the way we're doing it, it's fine and it keeps it clean. It all just comes out of my budget.
Any further questions, Dawn? All right. If not, entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion, Proactive Networking, that we accept the agreement for IT services as presented.
I'll second.
We have a first and a second. Julie, would you take a roll call vote, please?
Don Loudon,
Or
Greg Zuzen,
For.
Steve Eisenbarth,
4.
Robert Pope.
4. Moving right along here. Next item on the agenda, Resolution 2022-12, reorganization of local government with Washington Township. Ryan, I assume you're going to speak to this first.
Yeah, I'll do a little bit of just an introduction. And so maybe a little introduction, just a little bit of process. I know we've talked about this a lot, so I'll try not to beat a dead horse, but the Government Reorganization and Modernization Act actually came out of the Kernan Shepherd Commission back in the mid-2000s. They actually tried to find a way to make better, more efficient government. And so if you guys recall that time, there was a lot of strife in local government. And so they were trying to find ways to actually make government more efficient. That's kind of where this act came out of, was to create an opportunity. Not a lot of communities have done it. We did, in our research, find that 4 communities have done it, where they've combined town and township services. The way the process actually works is it can be initiated a couple of different ways. And you guys actually are here tonight because you actually had a petition which kind of starts that process. And so the town council will actually consider this. And if you pass it tonight, all you're really passing is to let the township know that you are interested in creating a study committee to study reorganization. So I want to be very clear, any actions the town council takes tonight doesn't mean we're moving forward with the reorganization. It just means we want to go and study it and see if reorganization would be in the best interest of the community. We don't know at this point if it would be good or not. We would just want the opportunity to kind of study it and see what happens. If the town council approves it tonight, then Julie will actually be responsible for certifying it and taking it to the township, at which point the township would then have to, at some point, go through the same process you guys are going through today, which they would have to have a public hearing, and they would have to consider a resolution as well. I will say that there aren't definitive guides on when they have to do that or how quickly they have to do that, so that will be at the discretion of the township. And I think that's it. Dan may have some information if you guys have any questions as well.
I'll tell you, I think we probably are all united on this. We definitely want to see our communities come together. There's something to be said for people, not just like Stan brought up about voting, knowing whether you're in the area, incorporated area or not, but there's something to be said for just knowing that you feel part of a community. And I know way back when I went through the election process, so many people said, no, I thought I was in the town. And that's where I got kind of a wake up call on this whole thing. Tonight, Bill brought up the point about planning. He mentioned, I think there was something you mentioned about planning and zoning are primary reasons some other communities have combined services, or we talked about earlier. And I see that too for planning and zoning, that here in Avon, there's so many folks that think they're in the town, but they're really under the township, therefore they're under the county jurisdiction. And so that they have several different places they have to go to, to do that. So I kind of look at this as almost like a fundamental thing. I don't really look at it primarily as a financial savings. And yes, we're wanting to see that, but I don't see this for that reason. I look at it as more of we want to bring folks together and simplify. I want to see the comprehensive plan, our zoning, our UDO, Unified Development Ordinance, all those things that we work so hard for be enjoyed by a larger group of people that can do that. Because we've all been in these meetings sometimes that go on for hours where people are frustrated that they didn't realize they couldn't do certain things. So the standards that we've traditionally had in Avon have been strong, and we have firm and equal and uniform enforcement reasons. So I focus mainly on that planning part of it, but I know there's representation has been mentioned, and yes, the Government Modernization Act, just to have a simplifying of government sure does make sense for a time like this. So that's probably enough said.
Great, Dawn.
Dawn? Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to jump in.
Oh, no, you're fine. I don't think anything says girls have to go first. But for me, I guess it's about having a central hub where residents don't have to wonder if they want a permit for something. Do I go to the county? Do I go, they don't understand. They might know they live in the township, but they don't know if they go to the township for a permit, which of course the township doesn't permit, the county does. And, or Avon. And I just think that having a central hub would be less frustrating because they have one source to come to for all of their questions and all of their concerns. So to me, it's about serving the community and the residents that live here and simplifying the government process for all of them.
I'll even go a step further. I mean, I look at this as kind of a business transaction, and you kind of look at this as, we have a redundancy, or we have duplicative services that both parties are doing. We have two parks departments. We have a fire department. To me, a fire department is no different than our police department. They're a standalone entity. When I need police, I want them there. Just like when I want the fire department, I want them there. I don't want people to be concerned. Is it Plainfield? Is it Brownsburg? Is it Danville? Is it Avon? Is it the unincorporated area? I look at our schools, and in Washington Township is Avon School Corporation. It's real simple. And when you look at Washington Township, you already have parts of Brownsburg that have taken annexed in pieces of that. You have pieces of annexation going to Danville. You have a large section going to Plainfield. And those sections, those kids go to Avon schools. So they're, 10% of the Avon school population comes from Plainfield. I mean, so we need to be better stewards of our money and controlling our own destiny here. You look at it, you talked about planning and zoning. Well, right now, when you take those different entities, you have 5 different plan commissions. You have 5 different BZAs. You have 5 different comprehensive plans. We've just had, in the last couple of plan commission hearings, projects that neighborhoods that are abutted aren't in the town of Avon. They're here to remonstrate, and not that we don't want to listen to them, but they're not in the town of Avon. But yet we certainly listen to them and take their comments to heart. So, those are the things we look at. And roads, you don't live in Avon, but you drive on the roads. But Avon has to fix the roads. But yet you tell us that we're not doing a very good job of fixing our roads. So we need to bring this thing together. And as we have on our one strong community, that's what we are. We're not going to go any further. Washington Township, what's left of it, the unincorporated area, should be Avon. And that's it. We can't annex to the east. It's Marion County. You already got your border going north to Brownsburg. You've got your border going south to Plainfield. You've got your border going west to Danville. What is left is what we're trying to control as our own destiny. And if we continue to ignore it, then shame on us. Now, there's going to be a study. There's going to be a feasibility study. We're not going to make a decision without having information. But we have to look at it. There's going to be two ways to look at it. You have a monetary value and have a non-monetary value. And they both offset each other. And we want to make certain that we're going to do our best. Everybody comes out whole on this. But at the end of the day, we have to work together to make this happen. And so I'm all for this.
Jared, we had a map that showed where the town boundaries actually are. And I think that's a really good visual. Is there any way you could pull that up and show it? That is it. That's the town of Avon, the red area. So to me, representation has been the big word for me and the reason why I think this should move forward. I think we should do a better job of representing our voters and taxpayers. Roughly 60,000 of us live in that whole section there. They live in the Avon School District. They use the Avon Fire Department, the Avon Library. They are the Avon community. Yet only 22,000 who live in that red area of us pay for the Avon services and roads and make the decisions that because we actually live here in Avon. Most of our community does not. And 3 times in the last 5 years, our voters and taxpayers have told us to do this in one form or another. In 2017, the National Citizen Survey, nearly 90% agreed that we should do this. 2019, the Hendricks County Community Foundation's needs assessment, again, nearly 90%. And now this very petition that we're addressing tonight, 1,100 verified voters and taxpayers signed on to say, yeah, you guys should fix this. I think we can do better, and I think we should move this forward. So thank you very much, Jared. That was appreciative. Any further discussion? If not, I will entertain a motion.
I make a motion that we approve Resolution 2022-12, the reorganization of local government with Washington Township, Hendricks County, Indiana.
I usually don't do this. I'm seconding this. I'm jumping in. I want to help drive this forward. I second. Julie, any further discussion? Not seeing anything. Julie, would you take a roll call vote, please?
Robert Pope.
4.
Greg Zuzen.
4.
Don Loudon.
4.
Steve Eisenbarth.
4.
Excellent. Next item on the.
One question, Robert. There was a letter in our packet that I think is going to go out to, it says notice to the taxpayers on it. They've got Town of Avon Indian Town Council. I mean, if you could look at that and change the dates in it and make that typographical update. That's it.
Somebody read through line by line. All right. All right. Moving on. Next item on the agenda, Resolution 2022-13, approval to purchase surplus property. Chief, you coming to speak to that one?
Thank you. A couple meetings ago, we asked you to approve a purchase from the town of Speedway, the city of Speedway, for some surplus property, some weapons that were new to their inventory that they never used. That is the exact caliber that we use, and it's the caliber that they no longer use. These weapons were offered to us at half the cost. And we were going to be buying these weapons anyway at full price as we add new additional officers. So this is going to save us about $2,000 by entering into this agreement. You approved the funding a couple meetings ago. Speedway requested that we have a resolution in place just to solidify this agreement. And that's what we're asking you to do here this evening. Be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for Sean?
Nope.
Nope.
Let's see.
Entertain a motion?
I'll make a motion that we accept Resolution 2022-13, approval of purchase surplus property as presented.
Second.
We have a first and a second. Julie, if you take a roll call vote, please.
Greg Zuzen,
4.
Steve Eisenbarth,
4.
Robert Pope,
4.
Don Loudon,
4.
Thank you.
Sean. Next item on the agenda, Resolution 2022-14, authorizing use of electronic funds transfer for payment of claims. Julie, is this you? All right. All right.
Yes, there is a statute which requires your approval to allow the clerk treasurer to use electronic funds transfer for the payment of claims. Now, there are already rules about when the clerk treasurer can pay claims, but this one allows her to do it with electronic funds, the most common form of which is ACH. And it allows us to pay our bills faster and avoid late fees primarily, very common. And a point of emphasis in the audit this year will be whether or not the town has actually authorized that. And so all we are really doing is having you authorize it so we can cross that T a little bit and get ahead of that.
Just one of those efficiencies we're trying to do. So yes, no question.
The only question I have, we're already doing that though, right? I mean, in our check register, where it says here.
Yeah, we do, but we haven't had you haven't approved a resolution that authorizes it. We need to do that before the audit.
Got it.
Got it?
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
I read it again.
I'd like to make a motion that Resolution 2022-14 we approve.
Second.
We have a first and a second. Julie, roll call vote, please.
Don Loudon,
4.
Robert Pope,
4.
Steve Eisenbarth,
4.
Greg Zuzen.
4.
Thank you.
Excellent. Next item on the agenda, final reading annexation ordinance 2022-16 Patel Phase 2 annexation.
Yeah, this is just these next two annexations. You guys have already approved the fiscal plans. You've done your public hearings. So this is actually the last step in the process. It's for you to actually approve the annexation ordinances, and then they will be, we'll do notice of adoptions and become effective 30 days after that. So happy to answer your questions.
I make a motion to approve ordinance number 2022-16, an ordinance to annex property known as Patel Phase 2.
I'll second.
We have a first and a second. I'm pausing just a moment. Dawn, give you a moment if there's any extra discussion from you or your dog.
No.
Roger that. Julie, would you mind taking a roll call vote, please?
We'll go with Don Loudon first.
Milo approves. 4.
There's a 4.
Greg Zuzen,
4.
Steve Eisenbarth,
4.
Robert Pope.
4. Next item on the agenda, final reading annexation ordinance 2022-17, property at 8759 East County Road 200 North. Same thing.
No questions.
Make a motion to approve ordinance 2022-17, an ordinance to annex property known as 8759 East County Road 200 North.
Second.
We have a first and a second. Julie, roll call vote, please.
Robert Pope,
4.
Don Loudon,
4.
Greg Zuzen,
4.
Steve Eisenbarth.
4.
Last item on the agenda, final ordinance 2022-20 Avon Dental Center rezone 2022-10. Bill's evidently coming to speak to this one.
Yeah, I'm Bill Peoples. I'm the planning director for the town. This is a request for a rezoning to Am I in, I'm in the right one, aren't I? Okay, thank God. I heard people laughing at me and I'm going, what in the world? Normally only Ian and Daniel laugh at me, for God's sake. This is a request to rezone about 3.5 acres. It's in the southwest corner of the Avon Commerce Park, and it's a request for a change from I2 to C2. The reason for the change is that they want to build a dental clinic on the property. The dental clinic is a permitted use in the C2 district, is not a permitted use in the I2 district. The property is also located within Tier 3 of the US 36 overlay. That would remain in that tier. And there are two things, strange things about this, or atypical things. This is not necessarily a totally undeveloped piece of property. There is a lift station on the southern part of the property, and along the eastern part of this property, there's a line of 31 parking spaces that were constructed when an adjoining multi-tenant center was constructed several years ago. This was heard by the Plan Commission on Monday, July 25th. The Plan Commission has forwarded a favorable recommendation on this petition by a vote of 5-0. They did request that that be made subject to one condition, that the development of the property will need to take into consideration the 31 parking spaces devoted to the adjoining land use and the location of the lift station on the property. I want to also just make sure it is a condition, not a commitment. There'll be no requirement to record this particular one. The condition will be confirmed during the development plan review process for the dental clinic. And then once we've confirmed that the condition is met, it just disappears. The reason for recorded commitments is if you want to have something, a constraint transfer to subsequent owners, and there would be no reason for this to happen. Having said all that, I would be happy to answer any questions that you have.
You just touched on all the things I was going to ask you about, so you're good.
Sounds like you got parking taken care of, so we're good there.
Bill, a bit of a softball one. I asked this during the planning commission meeting. Comp plan currently calls for I2. It's currently zoned I2. Surrounding developments have been rezoned to like commercial districts. Is there any reason why this isn't the best desirable use or surrounding character, similar use of surrounding character?
Yeah, the comp plan right here doesn't have an overt recommendation for this property. And when that happens with a comprehensive plan, you do one of two things. The comp plan itself allows you to extend a nearby zoning recommendation over a piece of property. And then we also assume that the existing zoning is appropriate. So those are the two things we tend to do when the comprehensive plan is silent on the land use recommendation. In this particular instance, there's an eclectic mix of land uses all along Kingston. So you have service uses, you have industrial uses, you have retail uses, you have just this mix of land uses. And the zoning is different. You have areas that are zoned C2, you have areas zoned I1. I don't think that it's going to be problematic to switch this from an industrial land to commercial land for a dental clinic. I think there are at least 3 other dental clinics within a reasonable proximity to the site. So while the comp plan would first default to the existing zoning, there is, I should say, area retail about 900 feet to the east of the site as well. So you could extend that recommendation to this site and be consistent with the comp plan. I don't know if that answers your question, but
It does. I think it's in the spirit of
the
comp plan's intentions, especially that there is a dental center, an orthodontist across the street. So we're well within the consistency of character surrounding to it. So
yeah, it was really the second statutory criteria dealing with the area that's in the vicinity of the request. This request would be consistent with the general development pattern in the area.
Well, you have the orthodontist, you have the flooring company, you have a bank, you have a little strip center.
Yeah.
So
Kind of a healthy mix. Yeah.
I like the word eclectic. was collected. Looking at you, Dawn, if there's any further comments, if not, entertain a motion? Nope.
No.
All right.
Don, you want to make a motion?
No, you go ahead.
I'll make a motion that do I need to call it the ZA 22-10? I guess I just did it anyway. Avon Dental Center, that it be approved as presented.
It should include our ordinance 2022-20, correct?
2022-20. I opened up the document, so I'm kind of going to go backwards here.
I think the zoning amendment was just for the planning
Yes,
commission.
so final ordinance of 2022-20 Avon Dental Center, that be approved.
We have a first.
Second.
He beat you to it. We have a first and a second. Julie, if you would take roll call, please. Oh,
We just need to make sure that the conditions that Bill mentioned should be included in the ordinance.
I'd like to amend that to be that the conditions as presented be included in the ordinance.
do we need to line those out, or just because we've had them discussion, we're good?
No, we want the conditions to be inserted there, just as Mr. Beagle said. So that's just what I'm trying to make sure.
Mhm.
Understood.
Yeah.
Would you like Bill to remind us? Would that be helpful?
Bill, could you list the conditions so that they can go on the record that they're included?
So we can include them in the motion.
Yeah, the plan commission only had one condition. The condition was that the development of the property will need to take into consideration the 31 parking spaces devoted to the adjoining land use and the location of the lift station on the property.
Thank you, Bill. And so then I just include that in my amendment that the parking spaces as stated are included.
And the pump station.
We have an amended first. Greg, do you agree? Second. Include your second. There we go. Sat, fit. You good with that one, Dan?
Yes.
Thank you. Julie, would you take roll call, please?
Okay, Don Loudon,
4.
Robert Pope,
4.
Greg Zuzen,
4.
Steve Eisenbarth.
4.
Next item on the agenda, legal counsel report. Mr. Taylor. Next item, the second of 2 public comment opportunities. You may comment on items that are on the agenda, not a part of the public hearing. Please come forward to the microphone, state your name and address, and limit your time to 3 minutes. Seeing no one rush the mic, we'll close that session of public comment. Next opportunity for council comment. Anyone? Milo?
Milo?
No, it was either Milo barking or this lizard that's next to me chirping. So, sorry about all the interruptions.
What, a lizard?
It's good to see you.
Council calendar. Ryan?
Just August 25th is our next meeting. As we talked about earlier in the work session, there is no work session prior to it, so just meeting at 7 p.m.
I did have one other thing, I'm sorry.
Sure.
Where are we at on the 2023 budget?
You have your first initial presentation at your August 25th meeting. And then, so basically August, both your September meetings and your first meeting of October. So your next 4 meetings will be all budget.
Yay.
Yay.
Is there any preparation you want us to do going into that 25th, just so that?
No, I don't think so.
Open minds are better than open wallets.
Open wallets would be better than open minds. But the budget's looking pretty good. I mean, staff's been working on it for the last month and a half. So
Okay.
The general fund's mostly done and is in pretty good shape. So we're working on the non-general fund stuff. And Greg's already got his number set, which is so Greg will be here on the 25th to give you guys his sustainability and his recommendations in the funds. And then we'll kind of take off from there.
Excellent. Meeting
I do
adjourned.
have a question.
Oh,
What question?
wait.
Go ahead.
for it, Dawn.
So I wasn't on Zoom during the work session, but I remember on the agenda it having something about an executive session coming up. Is that something that was agreed on that I need to put on my calendar, or?
Yeah, we were going to communicate with you afterwards. It's the 31st at 6 p.m. We're going to host 2 sort of back-to-back again. We'll explain details, get you those later. Good question, though. Meeting adjourned.